What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Whiskey Morgue podcast, where we talk about the whiskey we're drinking, the horror we're watching. I'm your host, Mike, and tonight I am joined by several people here. This is a first. So I have DC comic artist Mitch Gerads, music composer, award winning, I should say, Brendan Boone, and we have our actor, narrator, Graham Rowat. Tonight, you guys together are United States of Bourbon, which is something we're going to talk about. We're also going to get into how you guys even came together as this super band all-star team and how you formed. But definitely want to look into the genesis of this group because as cool as the project is, and we'll speak to that, just awesome kind of like I know little bits here and there and how you connected. But what I thought for tonight is we always have to do some whiskey. So I sent all of you some beard oil kits in the mail that Mitch almost threw away, or at least under the sink
I,
to tend
I
to his
I
beard later.
stuffed it under the sink along with all the other beard oil that I receive on a weekly basis.
I mean, and that's how you have an impeccable beard. Maybe I should actually use some more beard oil instead of just sending it out.
I hope I drink the right ones.
Yeah. Yeah, these are safe for consumption. So what I thought is I usually do like the movie and drink pairing, but this was kind of new, and I'm like, how am I gonna have all of you? I could interview each of you on your own for an hour and a half, and dive into what you've done. So I figured like I want to highlight each of you, but as a collective, we'll speak to that. So I've kind of done a personal pairing for each one of you. And tonight we're
Ooh,
going to start off with Mitch. So first up is Pursuit United.
you know me well.
Why do you say that before I jump into why I chose
Uh,
it?
the Pursuit United Double Oak is maybe my favorite bourbon.
Okay, here we
Yeah,
go. So I personally just stared at my collection, and the branding for me was just very like comic. It's clean. It's like you just see Pursuit. When I think of Pursuit, I think of like action and team and just like it could be superhero Pursuit. But the real
love it.
reason I chose this is because the Bourbon Pursuit guys who put this together are also Swifties. So
Indeed.
I figured that's the real reason why we put it together. Yeah, Kenny's a big Swiftie. I know he saw them in like Madrid or something. They went to Spain, and it was
Yeah.
actually cheaper to go to Spain and see her in Spain than it was to stay
Yeah,
here
our
and get.
director, the United States of Bourbon director, Holly, she did the same in Sweden or Switzerland, I think.
Wow.
But
It's one of
like
the
it
two.
was astronomically cheaper to just go there.
So Life of a Showgirl got announced today. How you feeling about that?
I'm very excited.
I kind of made the joke. My daughter just has been watching like I say my daughter, but it's me. The K-pop Demon Hunters, and there's the
Yeah,
It's
joke that
so
like they get
good.
off.
it's
Yeah, it
good.
is good. It's catchy, and they get off
People,
tour and they have like
anyone
one
here
day.
not watched it?
Have we all
So good.
watched it?
I've
Yeah,
seen
I
it
watched
like
it.
4 times. I have a
Yeah.
small
Yeah.
child.
And yeah, I say
Oh,
again, me and my wife are like, oh, it's for the kid, but really, we're like, Nora, we're watching K-pop Demon Hunters, and she's like, can I just watch Peppa Pig? And I'm like, no, you're not watching that. We're watching
No.
K-pop. Um, but yeah, there was the bit in there where they get off tour and they're like, okay, we're gonna take a break. We need to recharge and relax. And it's like one day, and they're like, drop the new album. And so in my mind,
That's
that
Right.
was Taylor Swift there.
that's
So
also how I operate.
so I figured as all of us kind of dive in and sip and smell, each time I kind of do this pairing, I kind of want to ask a question or two to the person that I paired it for. So, Mitch, you've got to do what like most kids grow up dreaming to do, like whoever doodles anyway. My stick man don't really cut it, but getting to work on Batman, Mr. Miracle, which congrats on that getting picked up by Warner Brothers. That's absolutely
Thank
huge.
you.
I heard we might have to attach executive producer to your title. Maybe I'll go back in the intro and
Uh, Officially, I'm the consulting producer.
consulting producer. That's still phenomenal in my books. But before all this, oh, and I have this here as well, which everyone should go
Ooh,
pick up,
nice.
right? So if you're not looking, it's the Peacemaker Presents. It's the double issue, which is really cool. Maybe I'll bring this and get you to sign it when I pop by Fan Expo and say hello.
So,
Um,
so speaking of that vigilante issue that you just
yes.
held up, one of the three people alongside me here, the is a masturbating hobo in issue two. Brandon, say hello.
Hello, I
Brendan,
am
you were the inspiration
masturbating
slash muse.
hobo. Yes. I remember Mitch asked me for a picture and the pose was like this.
I don't know, Brendan. I don't know what the plan is, but like I see you have some artwork in behind you. Um,
Mm,
but that needs to get blown up and
yeah.
put in the studio. Like if someone worked me into a really famous comic as a masturbating hobo, I would really run with that all day. I might even
My
go to
entire
cons myself and
entryway.
just be like next to Mitch and be like, "Hey, I'm
Just
the
set up a table.
masturbating hobo, so I'll sign the copy as
Well,
well."
I did commission Mitch to do like an oil painting version of it. So it's going to be this massive, mantelpiece.
Yeah, yeah,
Above your
definitely a
Yeah,
fireplace.
masterpiece.
exactly.
But before all of this, before getting into DC Comics, which is huge, it all started at General Mills. At least like in terms of a huge stepping stone in design. And um, you know, the one thing that you talked about is like idea of like clear design and storytelling, and that's what you kind of took away from working at General Mills. In terms of whiskey bottles, who has the clearest marketing design that like tells a story?
Ooh, that's a good
That's a really good
question.
question.
Oh, geez. It's tough when my shelf is not in front of me. I have a very short memory. Um, I mean,
Because
not to keep harping on it, but Pursuit has been doing a very lovely job. They just changed their bottle a little bit
They
super
did.
recently. Um, they actually had a really great. So I've known those guys for years and years. When I first started getting into whiskey, they were like my first outlet in, and I got to know them. And I even did a barrel pick sticker for them at one point for a new Riff bottle that we
Oh wow.
affectionately titled Spaceman Riff instead of Spaceman Spiff. Um, but they used to do back when they were just a podcast before the Pursuit line happened. They had single barrels that were they were labeled like podcast episodes.
Yes, okay, I remember those. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was like episode whatever, blah blah. And like it was a really genius idea, and I still have a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, those are some there's some episodes that friends still talk about, and there's whispers about like which episode was really good, and yeah, I
Yeah,
think now they said they're gonna still do occasional ones where like if they have like a single barrel that stands out, they'll do an episode. One other quick
yeah.
rapid fire. Is there a dream cereal box that you would love to design
Oh, dream.
or you
So
didn't
I mean,
get to?
Fruity Pebbles is my favorite cereal. That was for the competition, so I didn't get to work on
Yeah.
it.
You don't want to
Uh,
draw the
but
captain?
no,
oh,
I
you would
don't
do a
know.
great Captain Crunch.
A great
Some of
Captain Crunch.
I love Captain
Unhinged.
Crunch, but man, that thing will tear the roof of your mouth off. I can't condone that.
You know what, Mitch? The fact that you're dropping Family Guy references, I think we're gonna be just fine this evening. So the rest of you, what do you think of this? Are you new to Pursuit Double Oaked?
We are all
We're
over it,
diving in.
Michael. We were lucky enough to get some of the first bottles of this, weren't we, Brandon?
Yeah.
Didn't you go get them for us?
Indeed.
Yeah. I drove down in Heyman when they were closed, but they were kind enough to let me in because of Mitch's connection to them. And I picked up some to-go bottles.
There was a
That-
period there where Brandon was our Kentucky Louisville mule.
Yeah. They
Anytime
named a
something
drink
was
after me, the
released,
Kentucky
we'd be like,
Mule.
Brandon, go get it.
Yeah. I've been to Peerless so many times.
and Peerless is one that we will talk about later because I will say that I've never had a bottle of Peerless in my life. I have right now like 300 bottles on shelf and not one Peerless. And but yeah, we'll reserve that. But watching you guys go there, I'm compelled. I messaged my friend who is also my mule, and I said, "Hey, you stopping by Peerless anytime soon?" But
It's
They,
one of our
yeah.
faves for sure.
yeah. But
Yeah.
before you guys got together and made Brendan your mule, there's a no sleep connection. Now I'll start with mine because we're all connected here. I feel through no sleep. So in 2020 or 2021, I teach by day. I make it like I'm a superhero by night. No, but I teach by day. I do this at night. But then my wife's a computer engineer and she does like she oversees some of the manufacturing. So long story short is she asked me to come in a few days when I was off in the summer and help out. And she's like, I am hooked on this podcast. It's a no sleep podcast. I jump in as a horror fan and just amazing. And again, it's not just storytelling. You have great narration. You have phenomenal music in behind it. This is before I know any of these guys, so I'm not just kissing ass. And there was a few episodes in where I'm like, oh man, these are such great stories. Now, the funny thing is that I don't know where along the line me and Graham added each other on Instagram, but he posted obviously something no sleep, and without me knowing much, I'm like, I love that podcast. And Graham's like, yeah, I'm the guy narrating it. And I was like, shit. So I go to my wife, I'm like, do you know like Graham Rowat? And she's like, yeah, what do you mean? Like, yeah, Graham, like no sleep. And I was like, oh yeah, I was like talking to Faye. She's like, oh, you were just talking to Graham Rowat from No Sleep. So it was funny because as a fan, it's like obviously it was the whiskey thing that kind of like brought us together, and then we stumbled in the conversation and finding out who you are in your narration. So for the rest of you, where did these connections come into play? And I guess each of you kind of have your own little mini story about how you all came together.
I like to think it's again. I thought this out because it was my idea to have this particular combination of people because it's so cool that No Sleep brought us together. But I remember that I think Brandon, do you remember when you first noticed Mitch? It all came about through Instagram, right?
Yeah, it had to have
I believe
been. It
so.
was through, yeah, it was through Instagram, or maybe Twitter back then before
Maybe.
Twitter was compromised. Um, but yeah, I just remember, I remember just like, oh shit, the guy who does Batman listens to No Sleep. That's awesome. And then so like obviously there's like a mutual interest in each other's, craft. Um, and then I remember we were doing a show at the Stanley Hotel. Graham and I, we were at the whiskey bar at the Stanley Hotel, which is I think is like the first or second biggest one in the country. And then I guess you texted Mitch that we were there or something like that. How'd that play out?
Like, let's send Mitch a picture of the wall
Mm.
and get him to tell us what we should what we should get. And
And that's how
then
I met Brandon. I had
yeah,
previously
Yeah.
met Graham. Yeah.
so I put Brandon on the text thread. So then there was the thread for the three of us,
Yeah.
and then we went from there. And what was really cool is that it fast forward to three guys who all live in different cities, saying we should hang out in the real world somewhere,
Yeah.
and that became a real like let's do it for real. And Brandon and Mitch had said let's go to Louisville, and I'd initially pushed for Vegas, and then I went to Vegas and came back, and I was like, let's not do that. And yeah, and so we made plans to go to Louisville, and sort of what was it's an interesting comment on the state of male relationships in the modern era that on one hand we became friends online, but we're also like let's hang out in person
Yeah.
and have a bro date.
I
Yeah.
I kind of like where and I don't know, I guess I would say it kind of was the offspring of like COVID and lockdown, but like I was doing this just before like at least the Whiskey Morgue Instagram just before lockdown and but obviously it forced you to kind of, move everything online and I'm meeting people on here and it was like connecting with people who I then end up talking to more than some of my like, regular friends. And yeah, it's been a fascinating journey of like meeting people, and I actually have like people who I refer to as friends, or even like the connection here with like Brendan, which also there's like the I guess like the other connection was like I recorded with Jamie Root, who
Right.
is of the Terrifier franchise, Fuzz on the Lens, and
They both met
eventually.
Jamie for what it's
When
worth.
you both okay, because you all had that
Yeah.
Yep.
that evening. Was it your playground that they were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so it's just to me, it's amazing this like the world we live in connections, but then like it actually turning into like genuine friendships where like when Brendan, when you were here, we're like, let's
Yeah.
grab a drink. And it was just like just jumping into it. Like we've talked a handful of times, we grab a drink. And same way, if any of you pop into Toronto, which I guess like we said, kind of both of you are slated, it'd be the same thing. And I feel like it's nice to have that like natural evolution where you're meeting people who have like who are like-minded, who have similar interests and passions and being able to do that. So it's really cool how this all came together, and especially through No Sleep and the Stanley, because every episode somehow the Stanley comes up. I'm not kidding you. And I always joke that like everyone could take their BTAC bottles and all of that, but I really want a
Yeah.
nice Stanley pick as my like trophy bottle. And I always say the Jack Daniel's bottle they did, it was a single barrel cask strength. And on the side, they had it engraved like all work, no play makes Jack a dull boy, just repeated and engraved on the
Oh,
side.
I
Yeah.
never
Need
even
that.
considered that they would have picks.
Oh yeah. So the vault,
That's
I've been,
amazing.
they probably hate me at this point because like I've messaged them a couple times and I'm like, look, I know you don't actually ship, but how much for you to ship something? And yeah, so I guess well, if you're curious, I haven't gotten anything. So I think maybe if we're looking at like a guy's trip,
Yeah,
we
next guy
will
trip,
we'll
Stanley
There you
Hotel.
go.
Let's
we'll
do
plan
it.
something. We have
Let's
experts.
do it.
So it was Brendan and Graham. You were both there because you were doing the live
Hmm.
show.
Yeah.
And that was with Flanagan, right? Well, I guess you've done it several times.
Yeah, that was a different year. It was the year before the Flanagan one. We've done, I
Okay.
think, 4 or 5 different shows at the Stanley Hotel at this point.
Okay, that's cool. Um, yeah, the connection, Mitch, how do you feel like being the Batman guy? Everyone's always like, I mean, it's a huge, I think it's like a passing of the torch, right? Like if you get to take the reins and do a bunch of issues or series, I think it's a big deal. So
Yeah, I
good for
mean,
you for
Batman's my like top of the hill like goat as far as I'm concerned. So getting to actually contribute to that is amazing, and I have no problem accepting the mantle of Batman guy. I will take that.
that's awesome. All right. You might have a little bit left in your glass, but it's okay. You can always come back to that. I want to,
The Pursuit Double Oak is so
That's
good.
so good.
It's
I
so
haven't
good.
so
had a bottle
I'm gonna
forever,
open my
so
windows real quick. One
thank you
second.
for that.
yeah, the thing for me is like, and I don't know if it was the timing, but a friend of mine had sent me a bunch of like dusty samples from 70s, 80s. There was some Wild Turkey, Beam. But what I noticed is like where in modern tasting, like vanilla comes up a lot, like vanilla and caramel, right? And fairly because that's a lot of like the kind of standard run-of-the-mill flavor profiles. But with the Dusties, I found like there was more of like a butterscotch note. And that's what I get with this Pursuit Double Oaked.
Absolutely.
And
The
then hearing them talk
the
about wanting to do
first
like the old granddad influence,
yeah,
like, and I was like, okay, that's really cool because that's kind of right away I went straight to like a dusty profile.
the first iteration of their double oak to this day is my favorite thing I've ever had. Like
Wow.
Is that what
it
this
it has
is?
this very yeah, is what do you know which era
So
or
I just know
whatever
like
this is
once
from?
they dropped it on Seal Box, this was like the first, I guess the first batch.
I think this is the first
Oh, so it's
batch.
got to
Yeah.
be that, yeah, because it's
First
Yeah.
got
batch,
Yeah,
this like
but Concealed Box had a
wonderful.
pick too. So
yeah, it's
Oh,
not
that's right.
there's no marking of a single barrel or anything. It was just I know like once they announced it and once they were putting it out, I jumped on Sealbox as soon as they put it out and then
Awesome.
picked
Yeah,
this
then
up.
this
So
is it. It's got this buttery popcorn note in it that I have
mm,
not had in other things, and I go nuts for it.
yeah, it's one that I mean obviously the pairing just worked and I'm glad that you're a fan at the end of the day and I got to let you revisit
Absolutely.
something cool. But it's my bottle that I pull out when I'm with friends who maybe have tasted some of the big brand stuff and they're impressed by other stuff. And I'm like, yeah, we have E.H. Taylor, Barrel Proof, and some other things. But this one comes out, and they're like, whoa, what is that? And I usually try to like not show it right away. And that's usually the reaction is that, oh, this is like some of the better stuff that I've had in a long time. So,
I
Absolutely.
recently joined the P Club, which
oh,
was
we got a
the
Peak Club member.
P Club member,
Yeah,
which sounds weird.
yeah. Until
Um,
I said that out loud,
Sounds
I'm like, oh, Peak Club.
I'm the P Club.
Brandon, is
But
that the one you're in?
Y-
You're in?
yeah.
That's
you're in the
Yeah,
P
you're in P
Club.
Club. You're in P Club?
That's kind of redundant, I guess. But I only made my first purchase in June, and this they have a cognac cask finished rye that was amazing. So anyway, for what it's worth, they're continuing to put out really amazing
Well, I
bottles.
will say this, one of my favorite, I mean, other than the double oak here, one of their first batches of rye, not even like the double oaked rye or anything, is one of my favorites. And I always talk about Graham, you had sent me the picture of the Michter's 10 rye that you got. And to me, that's one of the closer ryes that I've tasted that kind of like parallels with some of those characteristics that I like of the Michter's 10. Obviously, it's not there in age, but yeah, like their ryes. I think just everything they're doing. Like I'm obviously like probably most of us here. I was a big fan of the podcast, but you can really tell like they're kind of putting everything into it and doing something like new, interesting, and fresh. So I'm a huge fan, and I'm really glad that I picked this, and it wasn't just the sleek bottle and marketing and Taylor Swift that made me reach for this one. So
So
um we are going to move on to the next one. So Brendan, you're up next for this one, and I think it might be for obvious reasons. It's kind of like screaming sound waves on here. So
Yeah.
it's the Blackened and Wes Henderson. So a little bit on the nose, um,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I'm gonna pour some out, and as we pour it again, I have a couple questions for you. So first of all. Um, Congrats on the Leprechaun. If we're going to talk a little bit of horror right now,
Oh,
on the
sure. Thank you.
Leprechaun short with Fuzz on the Lens, that was
Speaking of Jamie.
phenomenal. Yeah, and you know what? I will say this: when I was out with Brendan, um, his lips were sealed. Like he was just kind of like, "Look, if I get this really cool project, which I think you'll like, and it's a franchise that's been around for a long time, I'm like Brendan, tell me." And I try to get him drunk. I tried to offer more drinks, and it just he wasn't budging. But when it came to light, I was like super pleased, and not only because it's cool because you're a friend and you're always happy for friends doing cool things, but it's really well done. And we talked about like you and I were messaging, and I'm like really that 90s influence in terms of like
Yeah.
soundtrack where it's not just like heavy synth that we seem to be kind of moving away from like the 80s slasher heavy synth stuff.
Yeah.
So, the thing is with Blackened, obviously, the whole concept is that the barrels are then put in a room for further aging where they have like gigantic subwoofers pounding low end frequencies at the barrels to like slosh that around, and it's all like Metallica playlists. But I do love the idea of like music moving things, moving you, moving people, which is a huge concept. And like I talked about my love for No Sleep or my favorite horror films, like Carpenter scores. Like that's the first thing you come to is like those
Of course. Yeah.
iconic sounds. Um, but also like I feel like in terms of celebrity whiskey, like they've just done it really well. And maybe I'm a little bit biased because Rob Dietrich, who is their master blender, awesome guy, was poached from Stranahan's. And then this is his collaboration with Wes Henderson, so of Angel's Envy. I know I couldn't put everything on that small little whiskey morgue label there, but we're at cask strength. It's 58.1% or 116.2 proof. And this one's finished in white port wine casks. It has some
So
nice
still a wine finish.
vanilla wine finish. Yeah, very much in the Angel's Envy
Yeah.
uh, fashion.
yeah.
I don't get a ton of wine on it though.
Well, I'm enjoying it, and you guys know
Yeah.
my thing with
Yeah.
wine finishes.
Mitch
I will
hates
I will
it.
say as a disclaimer too, like I don't have a ton of finished whiskeys, especially like wine finished bourbons. If anything, sometimes I think rye plays a little bit more friendly with certain finishes.
Hmm.
But like this one here, um, yeah, it really did it for me. This is actually my second bottle, which is why it's a little bit more full there. So I ran through the first one um, in a fair amount of time, and it was that good that I was like, I'm gonna pick up a second. So while you guys dive in, I have a question for Brendan here. So you've done
Yes.
cool stuff. You've won awards for Slay the Princess, and you do video games and No Sleep, and now horror films. If you got to work on any dream project in terms of like it being a franchise, a director, like we'll leave it this very open-ended. Is there like a dream project of like a film you could score or something you could score? Because I shouldn't even just leave it to film. I guess like it could be video games as well.
I don't know. I always really like um Robert Eggers and Ari Aster, obviously. Um, but my dream project for the longest time, and I guess it probably still is Black Mirror. I
Cool.
would love to score an episode of Black Mirror. Maybe not like they can get pretty sci-fi, so maybe not too sci-fi with it, but like that brand of horror is some of my favorite.
It's actually a great choice. It's like super fitting. I feel like I was expecting you to maybe go in like the terms of like a bigger director or franchise, but like Black Mirror is just
Oh, sure.
no,
Yeah,
that's such a great choice. I feel like it'd be very fitting. We're gonna manifest it here
let's do
and
it.
then
Yeah.
put it out
I've
into
been
the.
manifesting for
Black
years.
Mirror story.
Do we have any? Come on, there's a lot of us here. Do we have
Yeah.
any connection to Black Mirror anywhere? But
Brandon,
I
you
mean,
have a
there's
favorite
like
Black Mirror episode?
my favorite Black Mirror episode. I've got a few. I like I think it's called The Complete History of You, where they've got
mm,
the recording contact lenses. Um I forget the one, but it's got oh God, how do you say his name? Brendan Gleeson's son,
Donald.
Dommel. Um uh he's like recreated, like he dies and they like recreate a version of him for his wife. I like Crocodile a lot. That's the episode where like there's a murder and it's just like a cascade of basically other murders to cover up the initial murder.
yeah.
I think they called it Crocodile because a crocodile will always eat as long as food is present, which I think is really clever. But yeah, those are the ones that stand out to me.
Now, no, I'm like brainstorming like other things I can hear. Like there was like what was the other one that was like Love, Sex, and Robots? That one
Yeah.
I really enjoyed. I think in terms of like shorts and cool things. But yeah, we'll put it all out there in the universe and
Yeah.
we're gonna make it happen.
Obviously, like San Junipero is amazing, but like that one's like not like the least horror, I feel like.
Yeah.
Um, but I like that's I think San
Those
Junipero was
juicy San
Clint
Junipero
Mansell.
appetizers too, man.
Huh?
What score on San Junipero was
Yeah, Clint Mansell. That's amazing. Amazing score.
Now that you guys have tasted this one a bit, what are your thoughts? Mitch still apprehensive of the wine
No,
finish, or
I'm
you?
surprised how much I liked it, especially knowing it had a wine finish. To be
I wouldn't
fair,
have guessed wine
that's like
finish
a
to be honest.
yeah, no.
I
I
guess
was
like
gonna
I mean, sorry, go ahead, Graham.
I was gonna pull some dark fruits like plum and stuff, but now I'm wondering if I'm just getting ghosted by the port finish.
Mm,
No, I
port
think
ghost.
like I definitely got like raisin, dark fruit, but like you said, like in like a generic port finish, I feel like you get like a lot of like that port red wine forward.
Mm.
So yeah, it's a different fruit. It's not like a red port in your face. And it was new to me, like, and I'm half Portuguese, so I should know a little bit more about port. It's like making me tap into into my ancestry a little bit. But yeah, didn't even know white port was a thing until this. And then so I delved and there was now I see it popping up with a few other brands who have dabbled in white port finishes.
I also didn't know white port was a thing until a few minutes ago. So
That's fair. Actually, I'm on the same. I never
I,
processed it. I'm like,
I've
huh,
only
I
ever
had
seen like
white
red
port.
port.
Yeah.
because I thought the gimmick was like, okay, but how good can it really be? This is really impressive. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't have
Yeah.
bought it
I like it.
on its own.
Yeah, and I think like again, so it's like to me, it's like the music sound influence, like whether it's working or not, they're still
Yeah, the
putting out really
story is
good
so
products.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, I like I've talked to Rob, I've gotten to know him. We did like a live before I even started this podcast, and we've chatted on air, off air, I guess. And like he's like I've looked at the data points, I've watched everything, and really it's just interaction with wood. Um, but I think like where, you know, he really does believe and sell the story of like the blackened process, which is all Dave Pickerel, who came up with this. He believes in it, but at the end of the day, he's such a great blender as well. And I feel like, you know, sometimes that that's not highlighted enough that like what comes together is really him. If you look in his house, it looks like a mad scientist. Like in behind, he has his whiskey collection, but then he has a million little sample bottles and tubes and he even has a little still. He has like a tiny little like
There's a brain
three.
in a jar.
Yeah, and he loves what he does. So I'm like, you know what? That's why you get like really quality product. And you know, I always say like even on the bottle, like it is Metallica's brand or whatever, but there's like no name on there. They've kind of made it its own thing where Rob gets to baby that, and the band's just like, hey, like if you're the master at it, like if it's good,
Mm.
you put it out, and so I really respect even this collaboration. When I have I'll send you guys just for fun. They're one of my favorites is the Willet rye collaboration. So they did it with like it was like
Okay.
they mixed the high rye and low rye Willet mash bills, and then finished it in Madeira and rum casks, I believe, or it might have just
Oh,
been Madeira, but
this is the only one I've had outside. We did an episode at Rabbit Hole, and we had one there. This is the
Yeah.
only time I've had
that's the only one
Blackened
I haven't
outside of that.
tried is the rabbit hole. So of the I guess the three that they've done now, I haven't tried the rabbit hole. But I'll wait till I hit stop recording to ask if I should if I should pick that one up.
But it's funny that you say like you can say it's like a gimmick, like aged in sound or whatever, but it's still something that other people aren't doing. And it's
Yeah,
like so
Yeah.
whether it's a gimmick or not, it's like it's a different way to affect, the liquid in the barrel. So why not? There's
yeah,
a billion companies doing the same thing. Might as well try something different.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I would say that's perfect segue into what you guys are doing with like United States of Bourbon. So having becoming friends with you guys and obviously checking out what was popping up on YouTube and what you guys are putting out. You can Google distillery tour, bourbon reviews. Like it's saturated, right? There was like a huge boom with all of this stuff. So, but watching your stuff, it's very fresh in terms of like the take on it and like you guys coming to the table, in terms of being like artists, storytellers, and I enjoy that. Like I know because what's cool is watching them now behind the scenes. I know that you guys really know your stuff as well, but you're all ears in these experiences where, I see some videos and I'm like, are you trying to override the master distiller who's telling you about like
Yeah.
their whiskey? Like let them speak before you chime in about how you know something, right? But you guys are just awesome.
Mm.
Like you're students of it. You could tell you know your stuff, but you're soaking it all in. But how
We're
did this
afraid to
project
talk.
even yeah, we'll talk about that evolution of episode one to the end and how you all have blossomed so much. Um, but yeah, so you guys talked about how like you obviously had a common interest in whiskey. And so there's the no sleep connection. You start chatting, you know that you have a common connection in whiskey. How do you end up? So you gave me a bit of it that like you're like, let's meet up. It wasn't going to be Vegas. It wasn't going to be like United States of Bourbon taking on Las Vegas. Oh, that should be a one-off episode. Maybe we'll get
Yeah.
down the
Brandon
road.
goes
Maybe,
broke.
yeah, Brendan goes broke. But yeah, how
Yeah,
did this one come
I
together?
keep picking hobbies that drive my bank account into the ground.
You keep Mitch
So
away
I
from Vegas.
the linchpin that we're missing here is the fourth Beatle,
Yes.
Dan Cutner, who is the kind of I don't want to give him too much credit.
Don't do that.
Don't boost his ego,
uh,
please.
for lack of a better term, the showrunner of the project.
It was
But
his
he kind
idea.
of he was friends with Graham prior to ever meeting me or Brandon, and huge whiskey guy. And Graham's better at telling the story than I am.
Yeah, Dan went down the rabbit hole, the bourbon rabbit hole during the pandemic, like a lot of people did. Um, and he went from zero to 1,000. He lives in an apartment with shelving units that are 4 bottles deep everywhere you look. And I went over to his apartment one day and I said, Dan, I feel bad. I haven't mentioned that I'm going to go to Louisville with these guys. But I mean, I feel like I'm bad that I didn't tell you, but you don't know them. And he looked at me and he said, if you let me come and film your trip, I will get you VIP access to all the distilleries you could want to go to. And I was like, Dan, I don't think that's gonna fly. I mean, I'll talk to the guys, but this is kind of like two guys who live in different cities who want to kind of hang out and get to know each other. And he's like, just give me a shot. And we got on a Zoom. I remember Mitch couldn't make it, and I think Brandon was like, I don't know. I don't think
Yeah.
Brandon was initially sold. And then Dan started to fire off emails. And when the emails started coming back from these distilleries saying, we'd love to have you, that's when I think Mitch and Brandon were like, well, okay, this isn't what we were going to go for, but this sounds like a fun experience. So
I think
let's
too, there's like a personal thing too, where eventually we did have another Zoom or whatever that I could attend. And I think it was less about the show and more about just meeting all four of us. And I think we realized
Hmm.
we all clicked
Hmm.
really
Yeah.
well in that one Zoom. So then it became very, because prior to meeting Dan, me and Brandon, at least secretly or unsecretly, would text each other and be like, "This, I don't like this idea. Like we're supposed to be just hanging out, blah blah."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think we met Dan and kind of realized, oh, this is still just us hanging out. There's just going to be
Yeah.
some cameras and stuff.
That is a
You
daunting
met Dan, and
idea.
then we were
Like
like, we really don't want to do it. And then,
But yeah,
you reverted right back all the
yeah,
selling and no, but it's daunting because like, it's a great idea. Like we're gonna go out, we all love whiskey. We're gonna go down to Kentucky and go check out some distilleries. It's such a great like guide trip to do.
yeah,
And then suddenly like it evolves from that to like, well, we're filming episodes and you're gonna be recorded. And even though each of you have like your own respective arts and what you do, it doesn't really necessarily mean that you expect it to be on camera and on a TV show or like web series. So I can see how that you're being a little bit apprehensive of jumping on board with that.
well, we had no
yeah.
idea whether the video that was being shot would ever see the light of day.
Hmm.
yeah,
Sure.
I also went into that trip because it was Mitch and Brandon who wanted to go to Louisville. Everyone knew more about bourbon than I did, and so I was quiet a while until I had actually like I had newbie questions that I was like, if I had to wait until I had the confidence to ask something that I'm like, I don't think this is a stupid question.
Hmm.
And I think that's how when a year later when they actually released an episode or the trailer and it actually became something that might actually hit the airwaves. That's when we were shooting season 2, and that's when I think we're like, okay, well, I think I always wanted to ask the questions that were on my mind, but I think I became a little more had a little
yeah.
more courage to talk.
When we get to those episodes that are considered season two or whatever, I think it's a big leap forward in as far as how we interact with the whole thing because we these seasons are all shot over the one period. You
Yeah.
know, I think at that point it was a week, and then I think the second time was a little less than a week. But yeah, it the second season we all kind of come into our own a bit more. But kind of like what you're saying is I think the genius of the show and the genius of Holly and the rest of our crew is that they put it together in a way that's not trying to be funny TikTok. It's not trying to. It's very informative because we're all
Yes.
coming from it. Like especially for me, like for decades, comics was my both work and my passion. So like it was all comics, and then kind of the
Yeah.
pandemic hit, and I decided, oh, I want to start getting into something I don't know anything about. And I was big
Hmm.
into cocktails and stuff, old fashions, but I just grabbed whatever was at the grocery store and didn't really pay attention to what it was. And I think the pandemic just got me looking into it more. And also now there's this whole world I know nothing about, and I'm so excited to learn about. And I think that's where the whole show comes from, is we all have a very base knowledge, but at no point would we ever say we're experts. We
I
could
would,
be on season 30 and I would never call myself a
yeah.
bourbon expert because I learned something absolutely new at every distillery we stop at.
I think we all have that personality trait of like becoming obsessed with something. And so
Hmm.
like we just latched onto bourbon because there's just so much. There's so many different brands and like styles. You could spend, decades and not taste everything. Um,
Y-
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this now for, I mean, like in terms of like bourbon, I got into it in like say 2015 or 2016. With hindsight, I wish I picked up so many bottles. I'm like that guy where I'm like, well, I used to just see Stag on the shelf and be like, I mean, different time in my life as well in terms of like where I was at financially, career, and
sure.
and whatnot. But no, like it reminded me of a newer version of the videos that made me fall in love with bourbon, in terms of like the processes and how they go about it. And it's like, yeah, like obviously like you have to like, and I'm watching this assuming like I know a bit, I've been around for a while, I've been writing on it and doing content, but it's still super informative. And the best thing that I enjoy about it is the storytelling, because I don't care what anyone says. People can like make jabs like, what does it say at the back of the bottle? But that affinity for a brand usually comes from connection. And I know there's certain pours that I have for me that stand out that I'm like, well, maybe it was because of that night and someone who I was sharing it with in that story, or me having an interaction with someone at a whiskey festival and chatting with someone who works for the brand and being like, damn, I really like that guy or girl and who they represent and how they kind of conduct themselves in the brand. So um, I definitely see like that connection. But I will say I even noted in my notes because I watched through everything today, by the way, for the second time. And the leap, it's vicious in the best way. Like the first episode, they're like, will Brendan speak? And and the narration. And then you jump forward to like you guys at Old Forester or Peerless, again, one of my favorite episodes. And you guys are just like there's like banter and you're riffing and everyone feels like I feel like everyone's like confident in asking the questions or sharing something. And even Brendan, like you going into like making that connection to your childhood and growing up in a family business,
Hmm.
that kind of paralleled with like the Peerless family business. And I thought that was so cool. I'm like, that's where it's not just another here's like a distillery tour, or I'm a whiskey expert and I'm gonna like walk you through a distillery. So yeah, a great balance there. But I did have to ask, like you mentioned Holly and Dan kind of like spearheading this, but you're all really great storytellers in your own art. As it moves on, do you feel like you want to share more about like where you want to go or stories you want to explore or kind of like where it goes? Or are you just like, look, I want to draw Batman by day, get on stage or compose music, and then just let me hang out and drink whiskey and you guys just do whatever the hell you want?
It's I would say it's half and
Both.
half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy. The the thing about it too is we have it's all just guerrilla made right now. So
Yeah.
Ollie and some of the crew, when they have the time outside of their regular paying jobs, can work on it. So we're trying to get to a point where we can be a bit more regular with the releases than it has
Mhm.
been, but that's tough. And the thing is, Holly is very much like us. She's an artist and she doesn't want to put out something that she's not super proud of. So she
Yeah.
really takes her time and it shows like those. I remember when we shot that first season, I turned to Brandon and I was like, this is unusable. Like we're asking
Yeah.
the same questions every time. It was just the same thing over. Dan was doing the same bits each one. And then we saw the cuts and we're like, holy crap, there's a show here. Like they figured
Yeah.
it out.
Funny story.
Uh,
The first video I did for Rue Morgue when I did like horror on the rocks, I never thought I teach by like again I teach so I'm like I'm sociable I can get in front of a classroom but speaking to a camera directly which was a whole new beast. And I laughed because I remember that day just like sweating like going into the room there's like lights and there's like cameras and they're like yeah just talk about like your top five favorite slashers and do a pairing and do your thing. And when I walked out of there I was like I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, yeah, we're canning this whole thing and we can't do anything with this. So when the first episode came out and they had like clips of the movie and sound bites of like what I said, I was like, this is amazing. So the editor, he's from here, he's from Toronto, but he's in Thailand right now, Steven. And I was like, I need to know who this guy is. And I messaged him and I was like, thank you, because like whatever you did there, like you pieced together, like it's a solid episode. And when I walked out of that room, I was so deflated and being like, I was so nervous, I was sweating. I rambled and then I didn't know if I even made sense in that other thing I was saying. And when it all came together, I was like, oh, cool. There's an episode there. So I think like it made me learn a little bit more about what we see in media and on TV in terms of like editing magic. Because yeah, you're playing it out in your head about how that day went, but it just takes the right moments, clips, and
yeah.
then you guys have a lot of rich history stuff too that's like layered in there, as well, and all those like cuts to whether they're talking about like prohibition or
And
whatever. It's
again,
like really well done.
Holly Tuckett is a feature documentary filmmaker that Dan and I were invited to the release of A Midwinter Night's Dram in Park Slope, Park, nope, Park
City?
City, and we needed to find a local camera person. And through a friend of mine, we met Holly. Holly came and worked with us that night, and then we learned about her and what an amazing filmmaker she is. And then Dan talked her into coming down to Louisville a month later when we all got together, and now she's our director. And she has two. You should check out her. She has two documentaries. You can get them on Prime Video. One's called Anchor Point, and one is called Church and State. And she is
Okay.
phenomenal at what she does. And she took the footage we had shot, and some of it, she wasn't even there for, but she took all of the footage
Wow.
and with some, other artists that she enlisted, has turned it into amazing, amazing things.
I've
Yeah,
learned
it's
that
kind of like what
Dan's really good at convincing people, by the way, it seems like he's
He's very
persistent.
good. He's
Yes.
very good. And the fact that we would roll into these distilleries and Dan would have to be on, and
Yeah.
he's an engine. He is an incredible engine in each and every one of those distilleries we would roll into, and it's not easy to do.
yeah. Yeah, you need that person in the group who's going to I'm definitely not that person. Once it's all set up, I'll chat away and have the drinks and have a good time, but kind of
Yeah.
putting that together and spearheading, that's definitely not my
Nope.
forte.
Well, I
And
think that's why we opened up more later on, like specifically Mitch and I, because it became a thing of like trust the editor to make you look good, right?
Mm,
So it's like I'm a post guy. Mitch is a comic book guy. Like Graham, obviously, you're a stage actor. Like so the spotlight doesn't phase you, but like cameras and stuff kind of scares the hell out of me. So
hmm.
like I'm so quiet in the beginning because I'm so afraid I'm gonna make myself look stupid.
Yeah.
But you just have to trust that it's gonna be edited. No matter how stupid I actually am, you know,
Yeah.
they'll just make me look not, like
less,
half of fat,
less.
less
Yeah.
stupid.
Just
Yeah,
reduce it by 50. Yeah.
just
No, but
reduce
that
it.
but
Yeah,
I never
And
I but
Holly's
that
great
actually
too at picking out those moments where we look stupid and like
yeah,
doing it in the best way possible.
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting that you put it that way because now that I think about it, like after messaging that editor and being like, "Hey, thank you for saving my ass and putting this together," then there was a trust. So next time I went to record, I was like, "Well, let me just do my thing and have fun." And he's gonna find now. I trust in his wizardry that he's gonna find these moments,
Exactly.
and piece it together. So I like that idea of trust. Brendan, I see you finishing the last bit of that drink. We need to move into a little bit of a spotlight on our stage actor and
Yeah.
narrator here, Graham. So actually, I have to pull this one out of the case. This is a really special one here.
Can I
So
just say
we,
that I have deep respect for you ordering them from lowest proof to highest proof. It would be something that I would do as well.
yeah, I do try to pull from a few of the whiskey tastings, and this one is labeled a rye. So if you're not watching, it's Little
Hmm.
Book, and it's chapter 8, the path not taken. And it is marketed as a rye, but there is bourbon. There's 18-year-old, which I believe it's a Knob Creek 18, if I digging around in rumors, but
Ooh.
that's what's in the mix. So very unique blend put out by Freddie No there. So I'm gonna pour some up.
Little Book is again, I'm excited to have this as I was the Blackened because I see Little Book on the shelves. I see people in the forums chasing Booker's and Little Book, and it is, there's so much bourbon out there. There are still pockets that are mysteries to me that I've kept mysteries. For example, Stag Junior.
Mhm.
There's a whole group of people who chase those down, and I'm okay with having some mysteries, but I'm always excited when someone helps push me. And sometimes it's Mitch and Brandon with the samples that I've forgotten, but I don't know if I've ever. Have you guys ever sent Little Book in your samples?
I know I
No.
haven't.
All right.
So the cool thing is that like Little Book it's a pricey bottle, right? So obviously I want to try everything as well, but sharing samples is where it's a great way to like try something and then decide if you want to splurge and spend 200
Yeah,
or on a
terminals.
bottle. And my brother had chapter 3 or 4, and he just kind of collects for his own interest and hobby. But that was the one where they used was it brown rice, a brown rice bourbon or whiskey in the mash bill. It wouldn't be bourbon.
Wow.
So that won me over because I love how it's like experimental, and I really like. I feel like this is ushering the new generation of like Beam and allowing to do the little book project. So I did buy this one, and yeah, so there's a huge rundown of like there's different mash bills of rye in there. It's predominantly rye, but then there's an 18-year-old bourbon that's thrown in there, and this is like without romanticizing the Boo Rye title. It kind of just like has been marketed as a rye, but there is some bourbon in there. So um, as we're sipping, I know you guys have kind of got into it. Graham, you and I have a greater connection because you grew up, went to school in Toronto at Ryerson. I don't know what the new name is, but it was Ryerson then. You wanted to get into theater, and you traveled to New York to. Well, I'm saying pursue, but we're going to pursue your dreams, but we're not doing pursuit. We already did that for Mitch, all right? But one of your goals was to get in that little book, that playbook, and
Playbill. Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
it and for me, I was like, this is a huge achievement because um, I feel like you can go out and a lot of people want to like pursue their passion in the arts. It's a big deal to go into New York and go into theater and be able to get your name in that playbook. I also didn't know until I heard one of your interviews that there's like sheets that they stuff in sometimes. So like there's like you can get in there, but in like a throw-in sheet, but then you can get into the actual playbook. But yeah, I feel
Show's
like
been
this is a
running
great
long enough.
celebration of that.
Yeah, when the show's been running long enough, they've already got like 500 or 1,000, or they've already got the playbills printed up for the next month. And if you come in, they're like, well, we're not going to, until we run out of our stock, we're just going to put you in as a piece of paper. And then eventually you'll get cycled into the next, um, the next edition.
So you've done a ton of work. We had a good laugh the other day because I didn't even know you were part of Evil, one of my favorite TV shows, and I was like, oh damn, like yo, you are the officer in that show, and that was like one of my. I still haven't paired it by the way, which I need to do, and maybe I'll seek your assistance for that one. But it's like on my notepad because it was just one of my favorite shows that so I kind of have it there, and I want to do the pairing. But being in New York, doing Broadway, off Broadway, all these different acts. You most recently did The Little Mermaid. And let me tell you something. The shape, I'd say you got it, and maybe you're still there, but phenomenal. Like those topless pictures. Um, and then what I
They're
realized is I've
shredded in a
seen,
julienne salad,
Yeah,
man.
no
yeah.
kidding.
He's like, I'm just like laying off the pores a little bit. And I'm like, well, I lay off the pores a little bit and I'm not ripped. Like, what's the I'm training every day. And then I realized also that I've seen Graham topless and Mitch topless, but just not Brendan yet. So
Oh,
There it is.
I hope everyone
What's
is consuming this in video format because it's going to
I
be a
will say that
Patreon only. I don't have Patreon, by the way,
No,
but
you
this
you
is
can only see me topless if you buy the absolute edition of Mr. Miracle from
yes.
It's
Mitch at
true.
a Comic-Con. He has those photos of me in the cage. Um, it was funny though because when we were in Lexington, I remember I was like hitting the gym at the hotel, and I was there at the same time as Graham, and Graham was just telling me, "Yeah, I've got this role coming up. It's like a shirtless thing," and he didn't tell me anything about it, and then I just saw the picture of him, you know, with his
Yeah.
tits out,
Yeah.
up.
The
and
great reveal. No, Graham, I know you're in shape. Like I could tell like you work out, but then yeah, I saw the stage photo there and I was like, damn. And I'm like, I know that's not just all lighting there. I know you
Mm.
put in the
Yeah,
work.
thanks. A lot of it is part of the business. And the reason I love No Sleep and doing voice work so much is that I can be whatever my voice sounds like. I'm also really tall. I'm like 6'4". So because I'm so tall, there are roles that I'm just never going to get to do on stage or on television. Um,
Hmm.
and
Like
when,
short guy number one.
yeah. And
It's nice to hear
man,
that because I'm like all of like 5'8",
Yeah,
and
same.
I felt like I've been missing out, but not, like it kind of feels better that like they're like Graham, like you're a phenomenal actor, but you're 6'4" and you can't do it, you know?
Yeah, well, it's weird. When I started, uh, uh, when I graduated from school, so I came to New York because a show brought me down, and that show was Beauty and the Beast. And the reason I focused on getting into Beauty and the Beast was because the two male leads in that show are very tall, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I'll use my height, and then that got me. So the production in Toronto closed, and there was an opening in the New York production, and that brought me down. And the whole thing about being in musicals was just because more of like a not mercenary. I use that word too much. It was just a practical idea of if there's 500 actors going out for this play or this movie, there's only 50 who can also sing. So
Yes.
if my parents raised me to be very much like, you know, if I'm going to do this, I got to find a way to make money at it. And so that's how I focused. That's how I ended up in musical theater. And then I went on tour with Les Mis for 3.5 years and came back to New York. And by then I was so sort of in this niche that even though what I would love is more television and film, you tend to just get more of what you've done.
Yeah.
Um, and that's okay too. But
Yeah.
ideally, I love a career where I get to do a little bit of everything.
Well, I was gonna ask like what your bucket list project would be in terms of like whether it's TV or like stage and like a certain role that you can envision yourself playing. Is there one that comes to mind?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to, like on stage, it would be Sweeney Todd. That'll be my dream role someday. Um, but I would love it. When I did Evil, I did 2 episodes of Evil, and that is the most. Usually, my TV has been 1 episode,
Hmm.
and that's it, like a guest appearance. And doing 2 episodes where you come back again and you get the feeling of being part of a family. I would love to do like a reoccurring role in a TV show. That would be a fun. I would love to live more in that world.
Yeah.
But I also think I'm a goose who likes just whatever I'm not doing is the thing that I want to be doing.
It kind of I think that sums it up for all of you because when you really look at like titles, right? Like even like jokes aside, like in terms of like achieving things and being where you want to be in life, from the outside, you're like, oh, well, you get to do this and that, and those are huge achievements and each in your own arts, right? But then there's still always this driving force that's like, I want to explore something I don't know, or I want something new in my life. So here you guys are like on your own dime saying like, I'm gonna fly out and create this web series and do this and or yeah, like in terms of you, Graham, like I could do these roles, but I want to push myself and I'm going to do voice acting and take advantage of that. And like even with Mitch, like I know I've heard you in past interviews talking about it's great to have these titles and you've got like to have some control over iconic and legendary characters, but there's still a bit about what do you want to do and characters that you want to bring to life. And I think we all have that driving passion. I think again that shows in what you guys do as a group. Um, and because it's like you don't have to do this. You don't have
Yeah,
to do
absolutely.
United States of
And
Bourbon.
that's what's super cool about our whole group is I feel like we're all maybe not Dan, but we're all driven uh in our
Got him.
pursuits. Hey, God his ass.
Got
Um
his ass.
He's
uh
not here, so we're
but
allowed. It's
it's
okay.
true, like I
Mm,
recognize it in all three of those other
mhm.
guys of like we're all going after the good carrot, not just the carrot that's in front of us, but that farther one.
That's a great analogy. That's a good way to put it.
One
I
of the
thought it was terrible, but thank you.
no, it's very good. One of the things I noticed meeting the people who make bourbon too is that there is a
Yeah.
similarity between what they are doing, as corny as it sounds, but they are the comparison to them as artists, the way that we are all artists, is very, very real and legitimate. And as soon as you realize that, you know, I start buying way too many bottles because I've met the people who are making them, and they are artists just like we are.
Yeah, and it's funny because I in some of the conversations again, especially in season two, um, they're very interested in what you guys do as well. And I feel
Mm.
like there's always that bit about where like even when I look to get interviews on here, I reach out to someone and they might be a musician and they talk about music all the time. And for sure, we will talk about music, for instance. But it's like here's an outlet where they're really passionate about whiskey, and everyone has like their little outlets. So here, like you guys are interviewing or going through the experience at a distillery, and they're sitting across from you and being like, "Oh, well, this guy's an actor, this guy's a composer, this guy draws comics. That's so cool." And everyone's kind of just feeding off each other in that like cool energy of being creatives and that art form. And it really does come back to everyone just being artists and trying to do something interesting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for me, I told you that Peerless, watching that episode, first of all, like I'm gonna take a sip. R.A.P. Rye the cat because I watched
Right.
that
Yeah.
again today, and it was like sentimental because I saw like the posts online, and I had
Yeah.
never even been there. I never met Rye, but I know distillery cats are huge, and it like a good chunk of your episode is the beginning is chatting with Rye and having some fun. But that was huge for me. So for like I said, like when I watched that episode again today. I shot off a message to my friend who's kind of at the border there as well, closer to you, Brendan, and I said, "Hey, like, can you, if you go over to Peerless next time, let me know. I really want to grab a bottle or two, and I love like the little labels on the side where it's like a flavor
Hmm.
or
Distillery
whatnot."
only single barrels, and yeah,
Distillery only. Yeah.
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 Was there for each of you, which was the story that was most compelling to you that maybe like going into it, you weren't, I guess not necessarily my favorite brand of like what I drink, but then you walked away and you were like, I have a greater connection to that brand just because of the storytelling.
I feel like for me, it's probably our most recent one, which was Town Branch.
Mm.
Oh,
I
sure.
like no, I remember when Dan told us that was on the list. I was like, yeah, sure. And then I came away from it like very intrigued by what they do and how they do it and the people involved. I mean, that's the cool thing is, I mean, of course, all these places have strong similarities, but like the people that make each distillery are completely different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say we ran into anything where it was like, oh, this is just like that other place, because the people are so wildly themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you,
How
Graham?
about-
Sorry, I was gonna say
Brandon.
Graham.
I was going to say, how about you, Brandon? But I'm happy to.
We're just passing it on. I'll edit this part out where we just keep passing it on
Yeah,
to each
yeah.
other. But
Brandon, do you have one?
Oh, Peerless for sure for me. I think Peerless, like the like, if you've seen the episode, you know, I used to work for my family's company. It made me really nostalgic for working for my dad and everything, which I left 5 years ago to pursue music. So there was something about that, and along with the like, I also love the distillery only single barrels, and you know, Christina's always like hooked us up with like some of the cooler flavors and stuff like that. So I think that's like Peerless. It's one of the best tasting bourbons I've ever had in Rise, but they also like they're small enough that there's still like that like mom and pop feel to
Mhm.
it, and I love that about it.
That was
Also,
news
Old
to me when they
Forester
mentioned
because
like the
everything's a
barrels that they
cherry
put
bomb.
out. They said they
Yeah,
put out like 14, I don't remember the exact number, but like 14 barrels a day.
yeah,
And which just seems like tiny in comparison to
Yeah,
others. But they were like, no, we're happy with this.
yeah.
And they're still so well known. I see them in like some stores and when I go over to the US and like I'm like good for them. Like they just kind of know where they want to be
yep,
in the market and keep it like yeah, mom
yeah.
and pop.
It made it onto the episode a little bit, but like just talking with them, they were. I think they even talked about like having got offers from all sorts of
Yeah.
bigger establishments, and they're just like, no, that's not what we want to do.
And that
It's
part made me
easy.
respect them more because the acquisition part,
Yeah.
like there was like, I got like I kind of laughed because I interviewed before I had the podcast, I did lives and I did one with Blue Run and I did one with
Mm,
Penelope. And
sure.
both of those got some heavy checks cut for them when they got
Yeah.
acquired.
MGP.
Yeah, yeah. And they got some huge checks. And it's like, cool, you know what? If you're a business person, good for you. Like, do your thing, make your money. That's what you want to do. But when you hear, like, Peerless is well known. I'm sure there's like knocks at the door every day about here's an
Of
offer and
course.
here's what we can do.
I'm
And yes,
sure, yeah.
there was a little bit of that in the episode, and that made me respect them even more.
Yeah, it's every corporation. You could have the mindset of just like, we'll just make more money, just
Yeah.
keep making more money. But they don't seem to be too bothered by that, and I respect it.
One of the last questions I want to ask,
Hold
and
on, I would love to highlight our day with Owen Martin at Angels Envy. Because before I'd seen Angels Envy in the store and I thought the bottle was just a gimmick. I'd never tried it. Um, and he spent his entire day with us and he had a 3-week-old baby at home, but
wow.
he hung out with us all day and then he came out and met us for dinner and to taste uh, the pours he gave us the cast strength bourbon and the cast strength rye, which has only ever been they've only ever done it once, and we were tasting it before the
Months
public.
before they were announced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then when we went back to Louisville a year later, I got in before the other guys, and Owen was going to be heading out. So I was like, well, I'm the only one who could say hi. So I went over, and he graciously took me up to his office, and it was covered in bottles, and he poured me the next cellar collection, which is the Angel's Envy aged in, it was the tequila cask.
Yes.
Tequila, yeah.
He also said, here's a take this and pour some for the guys. And I've never met someone so gracious, and also somebody who sort of inherited a young guy who inherited a big company that has been
Yeah.
owned by a larger company, but he's trying to take the company into new exciting directions, um, but also being true to the brand. So I was really impressed with them.
There's
One
Yeah, for sure.
sorry, go on,
can
Redman.
I add one quick thing to
Yeah, no,
Angel's
for sure.
Envy? When they did their bottled in bond release,
Yes, I was
this
going to
goes
bring
back
this up.
to this goes back to me being a mule. I drove down for that and I met Owen again, obviously, and we chatted a bit and everything. How many bottles did I come back with?
Oh God,
400 or something like that. Like it doesn't.
something like
I just
that.
remember like I remember multiple trips back to my car of just boxes of Angel's Envy bottled in bond, the little 375s. But like
Yeah.
Which,
that's also
Go
uh,
yeah,
back to the deeper story, which is Mitch's story.
yes,
yeah.
uh, I believe I'd like to point out I'm the reason that bottled and bond exists.
This is true.
Because
This
we
is
were
true.
doing that tour and we were going through one of the rick houses, and he very graciously was like, "Oh, would you guys like to try before we finished anything?"
Hmm.
And I flipped for it and loved it. And I really hammered into him, like, you should sell this like before you finish it.
Yeah.
And he's like, that sounds like a cool idea. All right. And then however many months later, they announced it. And I was like, that's me. That's
And
For the sake of the reel that I'll put together for this is exactly the story of
yeah.
of what happened. No, but I thought that was cool because like again, Angels Envy, like it's cool because they did finishing before finishing was a thing. Awesome. But I was always curious as well, and I haven't tried the bottled and bond.
it's really
Maybe
good.
yeah, I'm gonna have
It's
to get
amazing.
to
I'll
see if
send
I
you.
can
I've got
find
some
it.
extras. I'll send you some.
Sweet. Of the 400, you have a few kicking around maybe
Yeah, there's
still.
just like if I turn the camera this way a little bit, there's just my floor is covered in bottled and bond bottles from Angel's Envy.
But yeah, so like know like getting to know what it tastes like before being finished is cool. So that now that you've had like all these different whiskeys and going through all these different distilleries, um, the original question I was gonna ask was like your favorite pour, and
Ooh.
you guys had a bunch of pours on there. Maybe you could still answer that. For me, I was like the Bill Murray at Woodford was pretty cool. Um, I talked to Fred Minnick on a interview one time, and he was telling me some Bill Murray stories about bourbon parties and Bill hitting on everyone's wives and having a good time. So that was a
Awesome.
fun one to see the barrel signed, and that was a Bill Murray barrel.
I have a Bill Murray
But
story if you want to
oh,
hear it at
throw it
some
in.
point.
Yes, yes, this is
Okay,
the
Yes.
so
appropriate
the
time for a Bill Murray
super
story.
super super random, super random. A friend of mine from high school is like a lawyer down in Jacksonville, and they do like this golf outing charity event that Bill Murray is like part of. And I get like a message from him one day, and he's like, "Hey man, The sound is not working. Like whatever the deal is with like the PA system, like it's just not work. Can you like walk me through how, these cables work or whatever? And I was like, yeah, no problem. Like what's going on? What's that for? And he's like, well, it's Bill Murray's charity thing. There's a golf outing. And I was like, you get me a video of Bill Murray thanking me for fixing this for you, and you got a deal. And I fixed it for him, and he never sent me the video. So
Oh,
Bill
Oh,
Murray
I was
owes
about
me
to
a
get you to
thank you
take out your
video.
phone and
Oh,
show
it
us
would have
the
been sweet if I had it, but it does not
that would have
exist.
been good B-roll in throwing
Yeah.
that in there.
Yeah.
So I guess the question was it was going to be what's your favorite pour, but now that I'm thinking about it, is like if you guys got to do a single barrel, this kind of might come back to your favorite pour. Which distillery would you pull from? So I guess each of you can kind of answer that in terms of like you get to do any United States of Bourbon single barrel. Where are you going?
I'm gonna say Old Forester because I like cherry and they've got cherry on everything. So President's Choice is great, Birthday Bourbon's great, King of Kentucky's great. It's all my favorite stuff. So Old
Yeah.
Forester.
We, me and Brandon have very champagne tastes when it comes to bourbon.
Mm. That like reminds me of when we went to Peerless and we tried that hummingbird cake and we looked at each other and we went, King of Kentucky. It was like the
It
exact
tastes
same
like King of
flavor palette.
Kentucky.
Yeah, flavor. Yeah, exact
Brandon,
same.
was that one you guys were able to like get a few bottles, I guess, after
Yeah,
okay, cool.
we
Nice.
got really lucky with the hummingbird cake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which we'd never heard. I'd never heard of a hummingbird cake before.
That was
No.
news to me watching. Yeah.
no, same.
Yeah.
I guess I would say Peerless, but I feel like I'm not remembering all the other people we visited.
I I would say Willet purely because I feel like that was the most fun we ever
That
had
was
on a tour.
the
That was
dumbest
a
day of my life.
wild,
The dumbest day of
wild
my life.
day. And so I
How
want to
many
go
egg
back
salad
and
sandwiches did you have?
oh God, we had a lot.
Yes.
They they kept bringing they made a menu for us, and they put our show name at the top, and they continued to bring out things to the table. And we what was crazy is we showed up in the morning, and I think we had stuff in the afternoon, and when we didn't quite realize the red carpet that had been rolled out, and then we were like, let's cancel the rest of the day. And it was a fantastic time.
We still got it,
Willet
boys.
was yeah,
Oh,
there you
I haven't
go.
touched it yet.
that
This was
is
my penance for DDing that night.
We
so
fought over those bottles, Mike.
the one thing I will say is like again like so watching you guys like it seemed like there's a real great connection at Peerless. I'm very curious in terms of like where this single barrel might be from, but the one thing I will say is that there has to be although like I would have picked Peerless for you guys, just seeing your interaction and how that rolled out. But my only problem with Peerless is that it comes down to that small little area where it's like here's your flavor and here's like the group name or the pick. And I'm like, Mitch,
Mhm.
you gotta do and I didn't know you did stuff with Pursuit, which I'm gonna like dive into
Yeah.
later on. But you gotta like you have an artist on hand. Like you gotta do some really fun, over taterized like art that just like smothers the bottle. Um, and I had a
Hey,
friend
in
who did that
in
with
that respect, um, Rabbit Hole has an amazing bottle design specifically made for artists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought of Rare Character, which is not like they source or whatever, but they have like a lot of really great barrels on hand. But I don't know how they come up with the art, and but they have like unique. I mean, you guys have seen Rare Character stuff out there where it's like unique art for each label, and I'm like that really kind of gives a nice like canvas to like it not being slapped on, but then still
Can
having a platform to do some art.
can we talk about West Key?
I was just gonna say I can send you
Uh,
some samples.
Yeah.
I there is a Facebook group that I was a part of, and they did single barrel picks at random places. Usually it was like bought from wholesalers,
Hmm.
and then they
I
would
can
bottle
grab
it
one.
themselves. But they had me create. They first of all they asked me to do a sticker for one of their barrels, and I said I'll do you better. I'll create a whole like world. And
Wow.
so we do the Special Agent West Key whiskey, um, which are all riffs on Bond, but with my
Yeah.
like West Key character. And so we've done 12 or 13 of them now. But I'll send you the art and stuff, but they're really fun. And the cool thing is that the whiskey that they picked is really good. So it's not like it's just slapped on a mediocre product.
Mitch
Yeah.
made
They
us
picked some
fight
good
over it
barrels.
one night.
I did.
I joke about like the tater sticker, and sometimes it's like the worst, like someone just using like basic stuff to throw something together. But I do love the idea of like an actual artist putting artwork to it. And I'm like, if those bottles are still kicking around, I know that myself. I mean, you mentioned the whiskey's great, but like I want that on shelf. I'm gonna go out and order a bottle, and even if it's like priced up a bit, I'm like, that's fun stuff that has like a story and a connection. So I was gonna mention like my friends over at Fright Rags. Actually wearing a Fright Rag shirt right now, so shout out to Fright Rags. In
Nice.
comic book fashion here, for
Nice.
Dream Warriors. But like their artists, so Ben, who owns it, was doing a pick with 5 o'clock somewhere, a local store, and it was Salem's Lot that they did a play off of, and so they have like original artwork on the bottle, and they like Penelope doesn't ever get like a wax strip, so they did like this red wax strip, which probably makers wouldn't like if it was mass produced. And but like it was just so cool, but it was like actual artwork on the bottle, and it wasn't just some like rare ridiculous sticker slapped on it. So that's why I thought right away, like whatever you guys put together, there has to be an opportunity that you could see some cool like artwork on there. And yeah, I mean those bottles that
Absolutely.
are kicking around, I'm definitely going to try to hunt down because that's awesome. And I'll
I'd
take a bond,
love a
play it
horror
off.
themed art on a whiskey bottle for a pick, right?
It's
Yeah.
Definitely.
the four bung knockers in a in
Yeah.
poses, but horror.
If we can lean into all that, like, and I
Kentucky Chainsaw Massacre. Can we do this? Can this be a thing? That's my
listen,
favorite slasher. I want to
I'm
do
no
that. Let's
I'm
do
no
that one.
Dan, but I've made connections along the way doing what I do on here. So if the first single barrel does well, we'll brainstorm. I don't even want part of it. I just want to be like the gram to our this meeting today, just like in the middle orchestrating things.
No,
But I
we've
would
been
love
trying
that
to replace
idea.
Dan. This is great. We've been trying to get
Yeah,
rid of
this
him.
is
This is
fantastic.
perfect. Yeah, this is great news.
So before we get ourselves in any more trouble, before we take off here, so United States of Bourbon, I feel like the possibilities are endless. We got you guys already teased a single barrel pick, which I think is even like more than enough. It gets me excited. Individually, do each of you want to share maybe something you have coming up, something you can tease, projects in the works, before we wrap up here?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Uh, I just wrapped up the last issue of the Peacemaker Presents the Vigilante Eagly double feature from DC Comics, and it's if you're a fan of the Peacemaker TV show, it's from that world. James Gunn is kind of show running the comic book, which is really cool.
Mm,
And Freddie Stroma, the actor who plays Vigilante, does a little thing in each issue. And so that should probably be out in the collection fairly soon. The last issue probably comes out in a week or two. And then the big news is I've been working nonstop on the Mr. Miracle animated series that will be coming out. And when I say coming
yeah.
out, animation takes a while, but it's been really fun. Tom's show running it. Tom King, the writer of the original comic, and so he's show running it. He's writing every episode. I'm a consulting producer and one of the lead designers. So it's going to be a really kind of special series, and the Warner Brothers Animation is really putting their best foot forward with it, and it's been super exciting.
That's awesome. And congrats to that. And like I
Amazing.
said before, it's like it's one thing to have that opportunity, but we talked about trust in our editors and producers, but like seeing that it's in good hands and doing something greater is even more special for sure.
Yeah, cheers
Absolutely.
to that.
Cheers.
Here.
I'll take a sip
Hey,
to that.
thanks.
We were
I got to
with
pour
uh
something then.
we were with Mitch. We were touring uh The Evan Williams
Oh, that's right.
experience, when Mitch got the phone call confirming that the show was picked up.
Brendan, anything you want to mention in terms of things coming up? You teased
Listen,
Leprechaun with me, so do you have anything else to?
yeah, so hopefully the Leprechaun becomes like a feature and I'm involved. We'll see about that. Don't know how that works, but fingers crossed. Listen to the No Sleep podcast. That's what I'm doing a lot right now. And then the other big project I'm on, I can't say too much, but it is I'm like the Slay the Princess game company, Black Tabby Games. I'm their guy, so I'm working on their next thing, and that's 7 years away. You'll hear about it later. But I'm like actively working on that. So eventually you'll
Awesome.
hear about it.
And I'm sure
I
you'll
was
win
just
many
listening to
awards for that too.
I was just listening to Sealskin Rock from Fool and Scholar,
Oh,
and your name was all
yeah.
over that. So
Yep. Yeah, so White Vault, that's another one. Anything from Full and Scholar, I'm usually all over that stuff. Travis and Kate are amazing people. So yeah.
Awesome. And finally, Graham,
No Sleep
anything?
Podcast again. Yes, let's keep that front and center. No Sleep Podcast puts out so much amazing content on a weekly basis. It's kind of crazy how much content they put out, and you can get probably 2.5 hours worth of content for like $5 a month. There's a free there. You don't have to pay anything. But if you want to pay something, you get like double the amount each week. They are great. They've been uh 10 years now, Brandon?
Oh God, no. 13, 12 or
Holy.
13. I think I've been there for 12 years. I've written over 12,000
Wow.
pieces of music for that show, for what it's
as
worth.
as someone unaffiliated with the creation of it, just a fan of it, that subscription is so worth it. You get like
Yeah.
a long ass movie's worth of stories every week. It's wild.
If you're not on No Sleep, as a horror fan myself, like I love great horror films, but there's still that one story, and I don't remember the name of it, but like where the guy's in the shower, and it's so simple, and you guys can probably help me out here, but it's like from 2020 or 2021. He's in the shower, and it's just like this battle with like pulling back the curtain to see who's on the other
Yeah.
end.
It was a
Just
season opener. I don't remember the name of it. I remember the story though.
yeah, and that was just like I'm like such a simple concept because like growing up and watching horror films, like the shower is like a really vulnerable place.
You're never less
Yeah.
prepared for a fight than when you're
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
shower.
What is
I
the
actually
the
wanted to write a
number
whole
like
thing on that alone, but just like the
Yeah.
whole shower sequence. But
the number three worry of any male is that they're gonna have to fight the intruder with their wang hanging out. Speaking of no sleep, man, do you guys remember like last Christmas there was an episode with a Santa
A
character who was
Santa character, that's
so
right.
good,
Yeah.
so
So
good.
good. I don't know if you've heard that Santa Claus episode, but whoever played
Man, that
Santa that
actor
time was
was
great.
phenomenal.
all right, guys. Well, gentlemen, thank you again for doing this. Let's cheers and we'll talk and hang out in person finally soon. Brendan,
Yes,
we've hung out,
Yeah.
but Graham and Mitch, let's do it. Cheers.
let's do it.
Cheers,
Cheers.
my
Cheers.
friend.